What's up, folks? We're absolutely honored here to have Representative Faulkingham. He's been doing a fantastic job down in Augusta for quite a few years now. He's running for state senate, and like I said, it's absolutely fantastic to have him here. I'll let him give himself a little bit of an intro.
Okay, Sam. Uh, yeah, I guess I've been a little too effective down there in Augusta, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Yeah, I'm Billy Bob Faulkingham, state representative from Winter Harbor. I'm in my fourth term. I serve as the House Republican leader. I've been the leader for the last two terms. Uh, let's see. When I was born, I was born to a father who was a clam digger and a lobster fisherman and just regular down east man who did anything it took to survive. My mother was working at a sardine plant. Um, I was born October 12th, 1978. It was a Thursday. Monday morning, my mom was back at work in the sardine plant.
Wow.
That's who raised me. Uh, I've heard my opponents on the other side of the aisle say to my face on the House floor that I have white privilege. I will say that I remember my first bed was the couch in a one bedroom apartment, and that's not to say anything bad about my parents or my upbringing. I'm just going to say it was very humble, and but we always had love in our house and work ethic. And I learned work ethic from my parents. My dad started taking me on a lobster boat when I was 3 years old. I went everywhere with my dad. And part of that might have been because I don't think daycare existed back then, but it doesn't matter because if it had, my parents didn't have the ability to uh, do that anyway. And they were good parents, and I don't think they would have ever done that, even if they had the means to do it. And I loved being with my dad. I worked side by side with him when I was very young, 6 or 7 years old. I had a worm hoe in my hand. My dad was a worm digger. I learned to dig worms at a very young age. I remember at one point made a very small worm hoe so that I could dig with it when I was little. Um, and actually, that became something that was very profitable for me when I was a teenager. Later on, I lobster fished with him, uh, and my parents. That work ethic was a big influence on me.
Sure.
Fast forward, um, you know, I I had some struggles through my life, as a lot of people do. My 20s were kind of rough, and then my daughter was born, and things changed for me. When you
Yep.
have kids, things change. Um, I married a wonderful woman, and uh, things got a lot better then. And then we things went to another level for us when we really started to uh, have a better relationship with Lord.
Amen.
And I realized that it's just amazing where you can be, and the Lord was with me through 100 times in 100 places. When I wasn't with Him, He was with me. But when I started putting Him in front of everything that I do, it's like a cheat code to life. And I started to have success I never dreamed of, uh, to see miracles happen. And so it's just been a blessing. And my family, uh, eh, you know, everything's good when you have the Lord with you. Um, so that's how my family life is. Because of that, I've been effective in the legislature, uh, even in the minority. I've been effective. I've had legislative success. but I think the most success I have experienced, especially in the last couple, you know, 2 or 3 years, it's just been on a trajectory like I would have never dreamed of. The way that we have been effective at messaging against the Democrats, and not only just against them and their agenda and calling out the craziness and the way things are going there, but also showing working people and families and regular Maine people that they have a voice,
Mm.
that they're not voiceless anymore, and that we are here for them. And they see that now. And I see a separation happening that I believe is going to be the separation that leads Republicans into control of this state government, and that is a divergence of the normal people are all coming under one tent, and that's the Republican tent. And when I say normal people, I mean people that are married, people that work, people with kids, people that reject the craziness of all this radical left wing agenda. For example, the girls' sports issue.
Mm.
Um, and I see the Democrats continue to again and again be on the wrong side of 80-20 issues. And I don't see how many 80-20 issues you can be on the wrong side of and stay in control.
Sure.
And so that's where we're at. And I'm getting towards the end of my fourth term, and we have term limits here in the state of Maine. So my time as a state representative is running out. But I have to stay in the fight. I have fought too hard. My children's future is the most important thing. You know, I say it over and over again that Maine's biggest exports should be lobsters, potatoes, and lumber and blueberries, and not our young people.
Yep.
And right now, Maine's most valuable export is our young people, and we're getting nothing for it in return except retired liberals. And it's time for that to end. It's time for people to, uh, well, first of all, we need to keep those people here because we don't want to see our young people leave. And if we're going to keep them here, we need to make this place affordable. So we need to make this place affordable by lowering taxes and lowering energy costs. It's not rocket science. And then when we make Maine affordable and prosperous and a place where people can thrive, our young people will stay. I encourage people to get married, have kids, have lots of them, and enjoy the blessings that this state should be able to provide if it was under Republican leadership. And we're very close to that point, and it's coming.
I
Promise you.
mean, just from my personal perspective, I'm on the younger side of things, but let's see, 2022 would have been the first election cycle that I was able to vote in and be active with. And I remember going out and knocking door after door after door and being at event after event after event for Governor LePage and Bruce Poliquin at the time. And sadly, that year we didn't see the results we wanted to see, but we saw progress. In 2024, we saw even more progress. And, I haven't been fully satisfied with the performance we've seen in a lot of areas from DC, but there's something different about state politics. I can reach out to you and have a
Yeah.
conversation with you. I can't reach out to a federal level politician and probably have a conversation with them. When I moved down to Virginia, I'm attending Liberty University right now. Moved down here to Virginia for classes. Chad Perkins, Representative Perkins, called me to see how the move went. There's a lot of real people serving in Augusta that aren't full blown politicians, and it's nice to see. I also think the people on the other side of the aisle, they're fed up with the garbage they've had for years. I mean, look at Janet Mills' poll numbers compared to Graham Plattner. I'm no
Yeah.
Graham Plattner supporter, but people are done with her. She
Yeah,
used to be
there.
the golden girl, and now she kind of shot herself in the foot.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, you're definitely right. There's a change coming. Now, I know.
deservedly so.
What's that?
And Janet Mills deservedly so.
Yep, I agree. I made a post on Facebook earlier talking about she showed up at a No Kings protest, and it's quite literally hypocrisy in the clearest form. I didn't say this specifically, but I mean their party's been in majority power for the most part for almost 10 years now. She forces vaccines on us and adds extra taxes, or at least suggests them. Who's the authoritarian?
Yeah,
Hmm.
I mean it's crazy because these are the people that shut people down during COVID, made everybody wear masks. Complete authoritarians, kept disabled people out of the grocery stores. It was insane, and what they did to Rick Savage, they shut businesses down, and the weaponization of government against its people. And let me tell you, that continues now. And I said before, I've been effective. The messaging has been effective, and I've been too effective because now they've turned that government against me too, Sam. And they have come after my life and my livelihood. They are trying to ruin my life. They've used the Department of Labor to come after me, and now they're out there saying that I've violated child labor laws, and they have imposed thousands of dollars of fines on me. And here's what I did. I took my son's best friend, who, if you could be here, there's a house right out this back window. It's 50 feet away from
Yep.
my back fence. The kid has lived there since he was 3 years old. Practically begged me to come on the boat to go lobstering. 14 years old. Of
Yeah.
course I took him. I'd do anything for this kid. We take him school shopping. We take him everywhere with us. He's part of the family. He is out in the front yard playing baseball or basketball with my son every day. We love him.
Yeah.
He came on the boat 4 times. My son taught him to ban lobsters. We take pride in that in the lobster industry. We take young people out on the boat. It's it's who we are. It's our tradition.
Yeah.
And the state of Maine issues licenses to 8-year-olds. The industry makes calendars of our young people in the industry.
Yeah.
We're we're proud of it. We're not ashamed of it. And they have come after me and used an application that has never been used. Over 150 years, the lobster industry has been regulated. There are 5,000 license holders, and they have tried to apply a violation on me that has never been used in the history of lobstering, saying that I didn't record his hours as an employer, which is a complete a complete miscarriage of anything. And if I was in violation of that, then there are 5,000 license holders that are
Yeah.
the same way, because it's actually in statute that sternmen are independent contractors.
Sure.
On top of the fact that this is all just an absolute joke that anybody would laugh at, that if you take a kid out 4 days and pay him a total of $560 out of kindness,
Yeah.
that anybody would think, yeah, that's a pretty normal thing to do. Just like when the neighbor kid wants to mow your lawn and you pay him 30
Yeah.
bucks. Everybody that's ever paid a kid to mow their lawn has uh, done the same thing.
Yeah.
But this decision was approved at the highest levels of our government, because there's no way that this happens with some low level labor inspectors
Yeah.
going after the third ranking Republican in the state of Maine,
for
You
sure.
know, we've got Susan Collins is in the Senate, no Republicans in Congress, no Republicans in governor. You've got Senator Stewart as the minority leader in the Senate, and then you've got me as the House Minority Leader.
Yep.
I'm the third highest ranking Republican in the state, and they're coming after my life to try to put me in a bad light.
Sure.
But I will say this. I will say two things actually. What the enemy meant for evil, God turns for good. And I just I'm gonna play an Uno reverse card on them. And I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees. And I will fight this with every breath I have. I promise you that.
Yep.
And this decision, if it stood on me, would have ramifications for the entire lobster industry. 5,000 license holders who all work in the same way.
Sure. No, it sounds ludicrous. Now, earlier you'd mentioned an application that had never been used. What did you mean by that specifically?
Well, they're trying to use labor standards that are for a completely different sector and bring them into the lobster industry. Agriculture and fishing are very different, sectors that don't have the same labor standards as, say, a restaurant or, a hardware store or something like that.
Yeah.
And you have all these different rules where uh, kids or children or minors, however you want to call them, have to get work permits and things like that. That's the thing about these communists, uh, Democrats, whatever, these authoritarian people is they they think that they can outlaw entrepreneurship. You can't outlaw entrepreneurship. You can come up with all these rules that you want to have, but you can't stop someone from creating their own business. And I don't care what age they are. If someone wants to be an entrepreneur, they can do that. And that's what it's like being an independent contractor. And that's what every stern man in the industry is, an independent contractor.
Sure.
And so they have tried to redefine this one. Uh, my son's best friend that came on the boat. They're trying to use standards that are for other industries and apply them in this one case only, in this one time, to me.
So by application that never been used, you mean they're applying something that shouldn't be applied, has never been applied in this context, just to take it
Absolutely.
down politically.
Absolutely, and the industry's in an absolute uproar over it already, and this just became public uh, yesterday because this would affect the entire industry. 5,000 license holders.
Okay, now say I'm not a private business, but would there be risk in the future? Say I've got a son who's 14 years old and I've trained him to use a chainsaw. He knows how to do it properly, safely, and there's a member of the community that needs their firewood cut up. Okay, my son goes over, cuts it up. Is the person that gave my son, what, 4 hours of cutting some firewood up gonna get sued? I mean, I know that's not a private business, but at the same time, 4 hours of using a chainsaw and they get, say, $50 for it and call it good. Is there going to be legal penalties for helping your neighbors?
Well, if if the standards they used on me were held to everybody in the public, even the guy, uh, even the guy from the labor department that conducted this whole effort on me admitted to me that his son had mowed the lawn and been paid for it, which is a violation of the standards that he was using against me.
Oh my gosh. Hypocrisy to the umpteenth extent. My gosh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Well, if you ever decide to run for higher office, they're making it better and better for you. I can tell you that. I don't want to see you in a tough position like this. It shouldn't have happened in the first place, but they got to, take a look at the 2024 election and see how well that went.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
constantly take shots at someone with no backing to your claims. You might
Well,
make
they
them them. You might skyrocket them in the polls and cause them to win. So,
yeah. Well, they picked the wrong guy. They really did. You know, if they thought that this was going to shut me up, or that I would just quietly accept my fine and pay it to get out of it, and you know, and then maybe they could use this to hold over me in the future or something else. They picked the wrong guy.
yep,
They picked the wrong guy.
damn right.
Because I am not. I will not accept this. It's an injustice. I will always stand up to injustice, and it's not going to work the way they thought it was going to work.
Yeah, no, good. Keep up the fight. I'll be praying for you. Well, I know you've got to get on your way. You've got some plans this evening, and I've got to get on with some of the homework I've got for some of my classes. But I appreciate you being here. It was absolutely fantastic, and I look forward to having you on again.
Thanks a lot, Sam.
You got it.
We'll see
God
ya.
bless.